so many times people do not associate burnout with boring.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Because the connotation of burnout is I'm going
Right.
until I have nothing else to give.
Yeah,
I am so,
right.
my gas tank is empty, the wick is already burned out, the wax is all over the place. But boring from a student standpoint, the word boring for you is because it is a repeat pattern of behavior with no...
it's long term.
Hi, friends and family, and welcome back to Pam and the Purple Couch Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about education, burnout, and our society as a whole. Burnout is a word that we keep using and hearing, whether you're turning on your social media content or we're watching the news. We're talking about mental health and how this population is so burnt out. Guys, that is the catchphrase. Burnout, burnout, burnout. Doesn't matter if it's in education, doesn't matter if it's in the clinical side. I think every job industry right now it's almost like the hot buzzword. Oh, I'm so burnt out, I can't do anything. I'm
Tired.
tired? No, I think tired, and that's great. Let's jump right into there. What is the difference between being tired versus being burnt out?
Well, I mean, being burnt out isn't really like, that's more so a phrase that you apply to being tired from working. It's more
Okay.
so exhaustion that you get from doing I don't want to say the like a bunch of stuff at the same time, because that is sort of leaning into exhaustion, but burnout is a type of exhaustion where you feel tired.
So for
After-
me, I'm hearing you speak about the physical aspect of burnout.
Yes.
But I think one of the biggest pieces that people aren't addressing is that the mental exhaustion is really the trigger
Yes.
to burnout, because people are not taking the time to realize that due to mental exhaustion, it is causing a physical response. And therefore, that's when people are, instead of going, oh, I'm just exhausted from a long day, or hey, I'm tired from working today, it's, oh, I'm so burnt out. And as much as I hate saying this, because, Pam's devil advocate here, a lot of times for me, I think it's a cop-out excuse that's been used over and over and
Yes.
over, because it is a social media key phrase right now.
Yes, it's the hot word that people want to say because it's like what reminds them most of what...
But see, it's more than just the physical. We
yeah.
talk about what's the function of the behavior. Well, for me, when I hear a kid telling his mom and dad in the grocery store, oh, I'm so burnt out of school, I just don't want to go, or I'm burnt out from soccer practice, or I'm burnt out, mom and dad, and I need some time. And I don't mean to sound
And how
so
old?
sarcastic on that. From different ages. I have heard 9, 10-year-olds,
Yeah.
little kids.
We hear
Yeah,
adults
and-
say
and-
it.
Yes.
Adults say it too.
But
Yeah,
that's
but-
learned behavior.
Well, and one thing to remember about burnout, and we've talked about it before, burnout is as an outcome. So I was thinking about this in preparation for our podcast today, like an analogy, like a simple analogy of what does it mean to be burnt out? So I think of lighting a candle. And when you light a candle, it's beautiful, right? It has that long, I forget what it's called, the string, the part
The
that...
wick?
The wick, thank you. So the wick is long, right? It's tall, it's healthy, whatever. You start the light, it's going to light for a while, right? When does it stop lighting?
When the wax burns.
When the wick is gone,
Yeah.
right? When the wick is gone, it's burnt out. So now let's put that analogy into play. So I have homework. I'm a kid. I'm in school. I have homework. Well, one homework assignment, that's the light,
Yes.
right? We just lit the wick. Now I got 2 homeworks, 3 homework, 4 homework. Now I got 1 full week of nothing but homework. Now I got to study for this test. Now I got to study for 5 tests. And the older they get, the harder it is, right? All of a sudden, when do they feel burnt out? When do they cry for help and everything? Is when that wick is gone. They have totally fused out.
Absolutely.
And we can apply that analogy to any age, adults even.
Yeah,
How
because-
much stress, how many stressors, how many triggers, whether it's exhaustion, whether it's mental stress or physical stress, whatever the stressors are, there's a point of limitations that our body, our mind, our emotions can only take so much. And that's, to me, and when I was preparing for this, I was like, that's what burnout is. It's not recognizing when that limit's going to hit until it's too late. Now I'm burnt out.
So you're so nice. Because I'm listening to you, and logically, I understand exactly what you're saying, and I'm 100% in agreement with you.
Mhm.
I think I'm tainted. Maybe I'm burnout. Ha ha.
Ah.
So, because I think that this has been overused,
Mhm.
I almost feel like it's an escape
Yeah,
function at this point.
it can be, sure, absolutely. People
So,
use it as,
you know, we talked about suffering in silence.
yep,
Okay. So when we have someone who is truly going through that candle lighting,
yeah,
okay, and they're at that halfway point. Yes, we understand that burnout is the response and what the body is feeling after all
Yeah.
of these triggers, after all of these pressures. So we do have to be on the lookout. Now, that's why I have you here, Loki. I would like you to go back in time in your memory bank, okay? So in your mental library, I want you to go back to public school time, okay?
Yes.
Elementary public school, and then I want you to think about your experience in the high school. In
Yes,
public school.
you want me to explain how boring it was.
Well, okay, boring, number one, it's so funny because I love that word because so many times people do not associate burnout with boring.
oh, yeah,
Well,
Because the connotation of burnout is I'm going
Right.
until I have nothing else to give.
Yeah, they
I am
right.
so, my gas tank is empty, the wick is already burned out, the wax is all over the place. But boring from a student standpoint, when you and I briefly discussed this yesterday, the word boring for you is because it is a repeat pattern of behavior with no...
it's long term.
Yeah, so can you explain what was the lack of, and I don't want to say burnout, because burnout again is...
We're using that as a phrase, and
So
instead we
what
should just say
was-
exhaustion.
What was the systematic...
The point of exhaustion of what caused this.
How about this? As a student, there's a point, and I'm using especially not just you as neurotypical, but neurodivergent, okay? I want you to go back and pull back from me, not the effect, but what was the cause? So, school. There's no
Yes.
buy-in to come to school for a lot of kids. You know, even during our parent training this week, we were talking to a gentleman that asked, okay, so what is it that I need to do as a father when my son's like, I don't want to go to school? And we said, change the word, because he has already had such an experience at other schools that that school becomes a red flag. It's a trigger. It's an alert to him.
It becomes a general. It doesn't become a place. It becomes a concept.
Yes. So what are the things that you can remember that caused you to go, oh, I really don't want to do this again?
It's the exact same thing over and over again. It's like again, going back literally like a few minutes ago, it's a slow burn process of doing the exact same thing over and over again. And you talking to me actually remembered the analogy that I was actually going for.
Okay.
So, if I'm going to take the stage here for a quick second,
Please.
there is a, I don't know, let's say 30 to 35-year-old man that goes to a job. It's a cubicle work, okay? And he gets on his computer, and from 6 to 11, he checks emails.
Okay. We can all kind of relate to that.
11 to 11:30, he gets lunch.
Okay.
This is the time where he will, get a basic ham sandwich and a soda and possibly an extra water bottle just to hold on to during work hours.
Okay.
Then from
Manny
11
and I are with you.
then
We're going
from
on this adventure.
11:30 to 6 p.m., he's going to continuously check emails again. But this time, he's going to be doing it with 4 other coworkers. He's no longer going to be doing it in a cubicle. He's going to be communicating with everybody else and to make sure everyone's progress is doing swell. And also
so
to be planning to the next week.
I just want to pause you for a second so that we can understand. I want to take our audience who can't see you explaining this on a visual with us. So we're in the workforce. We have a blue-collar worker.
Yes.
That is administrative. And the first part of the morning is checking emails, seeing where their data is.
No, that's it's his only job.
Okay. And then we take a break.
We take a break.
We have lunch. And then we're doing the same thing, but we're doing with a group of people.
Yes.
But it's still the same job. It's just making sure that all 4 of you all are on the same page.
Correct.
Sounds like most work jobs. Okay. So what is the stressor on that? Is it the inconsistency or consistency of the same thing every
Well,
day?
I'd like to stay on topic for one more thing.
Okay.
The whole thing about checking emails, doing the exact same thing, having a break, and then doing the exact same thing with 3 other people, that's how modern school is. It
Oh.
doesn't matter how fancy the teacher is, how well they display the information on screen, on the projector, on the whiteboard, on the chalkboard, they're still giving you a worksheet that was admitted to them by the system so that you may work on it. It doesn't matter how well the information given to you was, you're still going to be writing a worksheet, you're still going to be writing a reply to an email, you're still going to be reading the email no matter how fancy the email is.
Gotcha.
And what comes from that is no matter how unique you try to make your approach, if the execution will always end up being the fact that you're just going to have a worksheet saying, okay, what did the teacher say?
Gotcha.
It's going to become very, very boring. And this applies to almost all classes. It applies to history, math,
the robots.
yeah.
Yeah.
But in a teaching format.
Yes.
So, I'm having a mom moment. I'm very proud of you.
Okay.
I just want to acknowledge that, and I'm sorry I'm doing it publicly, but I'm very proud of you because hearing you state that, you're saying what Manny and I are out here banging drums about is that you've got to get hands-on learning into our students.
Well, that applies to our next situation.
Okay.
After lunch, we finally get to have a group activity.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the coworkers that are on the table all reading emails and planning about the emails of what they're going to do next week, do you think they're actually friends? Do you think that they're friends? Or do you think that they're just united together just so that they can get more work done? They don't care about other people's feelings. They don't care about, probably their own feelings. They're probably going to hide behind a mask just so that they could say, okay, so what's the group activity we need to do? And again, translating that all the way over to the modern school system, we get into groups that are assigned by our teachers because we just need to perform efficiently. And so when we perform efficiently as a group, we don't really care about friends.
So it's not a socialization impact within the classroom. It's more of a mirage so that the teacher can fill a checked box.
Yes. We are social. We are a social school. And in reality, it's just forcing 2 people to work with each other that have no chemistry at all. And you want to know what happens if they do have chemistry?
Tell me.
They get loud. They get loud, and the teacher says, oh, no, we can't put these 2 people together. We have to put them in their own separate tables. And then that sort of gets into their own argument of just because we're trying to have a communication with each other, that's disproving of the work. So whenever we do have to do work, we don't get to communicate with each other at all, even though the main goal of trying to make people come back to school is the socialization aspect.
And one clear example of what you're describing is the issue of the cafeteria that every public school in the world has dealt with, which is they're in class for so long, from the time they walk in to the time they walk out to go to lunch, and they're forced to be quiet. They're forced to work in silence. They're forced to interact with only the teacher, not each other. Then they get to the cafeteria, and what happens? Explosion of social interaction because the kids are just thirsty and hungry for
Well, no, not
that.
even that. Not
and
even
they get
that.
loud.
Do you want to know something? Most of my time in public school, whenever it was like a cafeteria thing, I never got to be in any sort of clique for having a lunch with someone. I sat down near a group of people, I ate my lunch, and then that was it. I was done. And so I just got on my phone.
So can you give just Manny and I just a couple minutes here, because that was a lot
Yes.
to break down to our audience.
Let's unravel it, yeah.
Sorry.
No, that was great.
I first want to thank you for so eloquently expressing yourself, because a lot of our families that are tuning in, they do have that child that's in the school system right now. And when they pick their child up from school, how was school today?
How was school today?
And you know, it's fine.
Like, what else are they meant to say?
Guilty,
Right, no, I
guilty.
completely understand this. But
I've done it.
so what I hear from you is, number one, the rate of burnout that we're hearing about, whether it is, you know, a catchphrase or the latest, you know, this is where I'm going back on, you know, it's really a boredom for our students because they already know. So, you know, Manny, we think about it in the clinical side. Our students now already knowing what the expectation is. They already know what's coming up next.
Yep.
Now I'm hearing it. No wonder these kids don't want to participate, because what I'm hearing from Loki is that here we are now, you know, years outside of his public school realm. There were a couple things as an educator, let alone your mom, that just hit. You know, it was like a gut punch for me.
School's becoming a concept.
Well, you said it was almost though we're checking boxes off. We already know we're going to teach the material, give you a worksheet. Now, this is what I'm hearing. We're going to put it up on the board. I'm going to give you instruction. Then I'm going to give you a worksheet that reiterates what I just put up on the board. And if you don't get it, I'm going to send you home and you're going to do more of the exact same worksheet. And while you're in class, I'm going to group you as the teacher, not based on social emotional, but just based on peer matching. And then, don't have any conversation. Don't get too loud. Go back to being the little robot, fill out the worksheet, and start the cycle all over again.
No. Do you know what's the worst? It's probably, it's worse when it's, oh yeah, no, you can talk about it, but make sure to talk about the assignment.
And so now you're actually taking the socialization part of getting to know the other person completely out. So then why put them in groups anyway?
Yes.
And one of my takeaways from listening to Loki and you earlier, so when we define burnout, right, what burns us out is not just the overstimulation of life, it's the understimulation of life. And if we don't recognize those as triggers, being bored, being in a routine, and I think everyone can relate to that, right? Myself included. When do we most want a vacation or need a break? It's when either we're overstimulated or we're bored, we're understimulated, and we want some change to get back to this like...
Hold on real quick, think about behavioral. We have children that don't have behavioral issues, but when they're in a classroom that is not challenging for them, then we start to see those maladaptive behaviors in the classroom start. Oh, I'm throwing pencils now. I'm playing with the bottom of my chair. I'm playing with my pencils or I'm drawing on the desk. I'm finished my work.
Or people that are passive, like think people that don't express, whether it's adults or children, they don't express like how they're feeling. Call it boredom, call it whatever, they're understimulated.
Yes.
But they won't express it. They'll just kind of deal with it, and they become complacent until that one day a trigger hits them and they're like, oh, I'm done.
Correct.
Right? And
I don't want to do this no more.
I'm over it. And they've been
the
burnt
buy-in
out.
is no longer there.
And they're burnt out by being understimulated. Yeah. So from an ABA perspective, it's kind of, as I was listening, I was thinking of, this all boils down to schedules of reinforcement. So, not to get all nerdy and scientific and anything, but really a bottom line is when we're overstimulated, we had so much reinforcement, so much stimulation that it becomes too much.
Yes. Well, hold on.
And we become...
I want to take a segment further.
Okay.
Because all of our parents, I believe, and I trust my intuition here, also triggered in on what he was talking about with the lunchroom. So to put into some perspective, just so our parents can understand, classrooms as soon as kindergarten, as soon as a child is 5, in the state of Florida, that then means that the ratios of student to teacher can be 25-1. So now let's think about the cafeteria. You can have 100 students and only 4 adults, and that's sufficient coverage. All right, families, we'll be right back after this special message. How are your high school students doing today? Maturity, puberty, social media? Have they found their home? Have they found their tribe? Well, at Legacy High School, our students all fit in because we are a non-traditional high school. So come down, take a tour, see what it's like to have education done right. www.legacyhighschool.com. And now, back to the Purple Couch Podcast. So now we have an environment where, and I love how Loki walked right into it, I didn't have a click. I think about my neurodivergent kids that may be too much stimulation. Everyone's now talking. So what happens? You get them with the head. You get them with, oh, I'm going to put my headphones on so I can walk away from this. Why? Because that is not what cafe seating. Think about it. It's not changed.
Nope.
You know, I'm sitting here on the couch. It's been a long time since I've been in school, elementary school. And it's the exact same lunch period.
Absolutely.
It's the exact same breakfast. It's the exact same lunch. It's same aftercare. It has not changed.
I do also want to say, this is a little unrelated, but trust me, I could like zip back over to what you're saying. The fact that parents say, how was your day? And the kid kind of had nothing to respond with, only saying it was fine. I really want to know sometimes if I could go up to a kid and say, hey, besides worksheets, what do you remember fondly from school? And it can't be from lunch, it can't be from recess. During class hours, what do you remember?
Well, see, I think after us, and I cannot believe that it took this podcast to sit down and have this epiphany. We talk to parents day in and day out. And one of the biggest things on our parent conferences are, I'm not getting feedback. I'm not getting anything. I got to pull what was going on. Well, if you have to pull that from your child, then now we're looking at the evidence of what Loki is saying is the precursor, is that, well, there's nothing new. I did the same thing today that I did yesterday, and I'm going to do the same thing tomorrow. So when the child is asked, what did you do? School.
And also, it's not like the parents know any better. What if the child just says, oh, yeah, no, I did worksheets? And then the parents are going to say, oh, well, did you do anything fun? And it's like...
No, because that is the system of repeat behavior that we're talking about. And it's, this has been amazing for me because it has pulled all of this data that we have been looking at, but from your perspective. And so, of course, our kids are giving the best answer at school.
It's cool.
Because, like Loki said, it doesn't matter what genre. So it doesn't matter if it's history, it doesn't matter if it's math, or if it's science, or if it's reading. All teachers are using this exact same formula, and our non-programmable kids have had enough.
And it's not even of the fault of the teachers. It's on the fault of whoever gives out the worksheets.
So,
it's a
the system problem.
It's a system problem.
Yes, like the teachers are trying their best to say in the most fanciest way of saying, oh, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then the kid's got to say H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. It's like, it doesn't matter how fancy the emails are. You're still going to reply to them either way. It doesn't matter.
Yes, but we need to go back and take a pause. And number one, we have to acknowledge that the teachers are given a direction from the administration. And that's where the problem is broken. The administration has to start looking at education as individualized for the student and not for the mass.
Right.
We have taken our education system, and the reason we are one of the most affluent countries but the lowest in education is because we are looking just like our vaccine schedule, one size fits all. And that is the approach. You know, it's funny, we just talked about teaching to that 80 percentile. But when you have 30 kids in your classroom and you have one instructor, what are they supposed to do?
Right.
And the delivery, you are right. Unless you are in an alternative learning school, which again is a blessing with Puzzle Box, you are given, this is what you have to meet. This is what you have to meet by this semester. These are the standardized testing.
These are the expectations. We don't expect anything more or less from you.
Correct. And it has to be in this version of how it is relayed to the student. Just like you said, everything becomes a worksheet.
Yeah. And you know what's the worst part? The children don't feel successful whenever they do get things right. Like, sure, we'll set up rewards for them, and we'll set up, oh yeah, no, if your class does good, you get to have a movie during Friday. But like, it's only during like Fridays. Any other time, they're just going to give you an expectation that you need to reach, or else you're just going to have a bad day. You're not going to feel satisfied knowing that you didn't reach the expectation. So it's either, oh, it's just the same day
Intermittent
again and again and
reinforcement,
again.
I hear him saying,
or,
right?
That's right. It's
Or it's, I didn't meet the expectation, I'm going to cry, and I'm not going to give my parents a reason, because if I said, oh yeah, no, I failed, they're going to get the wrong assumption.
So as we're wrapping up this episode, I'm sitting here, I want to go to my computer right now and just like log so much in my head out, because I have heard you state, number one, how do we help this burnout mentality in our education system from a student aspect? And the way that I would summarize what I'm hearing from you is that we need to shake up the box. We've got to stop with this complete, consistent pattern of the same day in and day out. That's why our students are answering the questions with, I went to school. What did you do today? I went to school. How was school? Fine. Why? Because there is nothing. There is no different Skittle in the rainbow being given to them. It's the same gray, black, tan. Gray, black, tan.
Literally, because it's all printer sheets.
Yeah, well, yes.
Or this chapter, that chapter, this test, this test.
I read a book. I read a book. That's
did
like
this
the most
assignment.
you're probably going to get.
Right, but I also hear that when we're talking about the socialization aspect, which is critical right now, is that the one time that the students have the availability to socialize, lunch, in a group setting, that it's a free-for-all. And what word did he use, which is not of his generation? I didn't fit in with any clique.
Yep.
Well, you gave me that word.
Well, I hear you, but even using that on the couch, the way you were expressing yourself, using a word of our generation is sad, because it means it's not changed in 40 years. For me, a little bit longer than 40 years, but in 45 years, here, I'll put that one there, 45 years, nothing has changed. And our neurodivergent kids that already are inclusive, that already cocoon, it almost seems to me that this is where we need the socialized structure. At lunchtime, we need intervention.
Yep.
So that would be my give out to our families that are listening. Out of this, what can we do to help our students not feel burnt out in an academic setting? For me, it would be understanding that outside of the reading, writing, arithmetic, we need to ensure that there is facilitation of true social environment without being punished for enjoying the company.
Nice.
I think that's what I heard. And now I'm like, okay, Manny, we got to go write some programs.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
That's my feedback.
Yeah. I'll throw in mine. Mine that I took away from our podcast is always consider the triggers of burnout are not just when I'm overstimulated, but when I'm understimulated. And with our kids in particular, looking out for those signs. Are they stimulated enough? And I'm sure the sweet spot's somewhere in the middle, right? But looking at both sides of the coin.
What about you, Loki? I'd like you to send our families home this evening after this podcast. What would you like to give some tips and tricks for our families after this show, and then hit us on out?
Well, what I wanted to say was that, looking back like a few minutes ago, just simply ask your student or your child, is there anything you remember during the academic hours of school, to just say, like, what do you remember besides recess, besides lunch, besides what did the teacher give you that you remember? Because during this time, almost every teacher will always give you that same worksheet, and you're not going to remember their face or their name or anything. No matter how well they make the act, and no matter how well they write the email, no matter how fancy, like if confetti pops up, it's still just going to say A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're just going to have to repeat it back. So what I ask is just simply have time to make your moments memorable from both the teachers and parents' perspective. I don't know how to close it out. Can you do the
I
thing?
will. All right, friends and family. So today From our couch to yours, we've talked about how do we take the word or phrase burnout and make it a successful, rememberable moment. All right, families, we'll see you again real soon. Have a great day.